I'm going to be a victor. I'm going to go out and I'm going to change things. And from that day forward, I started making changes, not even really knowing what I was doing, except knowing that I wanted to do better.
Welcome to the Dr. Fit Jen Show, where we teach ordinary people how to do extraordinary things. We're going to talk about fitness and food, family, finances, faith, and fun. Welcome to life.
Hey everyone, it's Dr. Fit Jen. I want to welcome you to the podcast numero uno. I am coming at you from the garage. We call it Garage Fit here at our ranch, Timber Valley Ranch. And I am so excited to finally start the ball rolling here. I have overcome so many technical difficulties to get the capability just to even do this. We live out in the sticks. No, this is not a mouse on my shirt. I have a lapel mic because my other mic I couldn't even get to work. So I am technologically handicapped, but we will overcome and persevere so that we can bring these podcasts straight to you. So why am I here? It's a good question. More existential conversation for another day. But, several months ago, I was preparing for a talk at a conference. And I am a chiropractor by trade. I'm many things, but my heart is to love and serve others and just help them to experience abundant life that God created. And people always come to me and I ask them, hey, how are you doing today? What's happening in your life? And, people would say, oh, I'm living the dream. I'm living the dream, Doc. And the sad thing, it genuinely makes my heart hurt because 9 out of 10 people, when they say that, don't mean it. And it got me to thinking, God has created us for so much more. And He wants us to live that abundant life. He says, I know the plans I have for you, plans of hope, plans of a future. And I absolutely, when I say I'm living the dream, I absolutely am. I'm completely and utterly humbled and just mesmerized by His grace to be able to do the things and experience the things that He's put in this world for us to experience. So I want to be able to, in the next 365 days, give you the exact step-by-step process that I have gone through that I can share with you that is going to allow you, I want you to be living the dream and not just saying it or thinking that, wow, that doesn't even really exist or only for a top 1% of people. So that's really why this came about. And I was thinking, man, I don't fit in to any niche. Here I am, I'm a very average person. I don't have any extraordinary qualities. I'm not, there's everything is average about me. But I truly am blessed to live an extraordinary life. And I want you to know that you can do that too. If you're average or even below average, you don't have to be extraordinary. There's just a few things that you need to implement in your life. And I want to take you along that journey. We're going to meet some other people as we go through these podcasts that are doing incredible things. And I really just want you to see, it's raw. It's not the Instagram world that you all see and that, we all say, oh, must be nice. Wish we could do this. Look at that person, where they're at. I mean, you're only seeing the top 1% and you're only seeing the successes. I want to be raw. I want to be real. I want to take you through every step of the way so that you can see what that journey is like. And hopefully it resonates with you and who you are. I love everything. I love nutrition. I love fitness. I love working out. I love chiropractic. I love horses. I didn't fit into a niche. And one of my mentors said, you know what? Well, that's the extraordinary thing, is that you are able to do all things, or many things, not all things, only God can do that, but many things, and fit it into life, let alone, with your family. I have an amazing husband and 2 beautiful kids that we live here at Timber Valley Ranch. We have a numerous assortment of horses, 5 dogs, and cattle. So, I just want to give you a little bit about my story, because when I say average, I really mean average. Growing up, I didn't come from a wealthy background. My parents were they met in Kansas. They lived on the other side of the tracks from each other, and they met while they were welders, of all things. They're both scrappers. They work hard for what they have, and that has been the continual theme throughout my life. Is just I've always seen my parents work hard and hold high moral standards. And so, now, from where my parents started to where they at now, it's someday I want to get a podcast with them on, because it's a pretty incredible story to start out from welding to running a multi-million-dollar company. Is pretty amazing. But when I was growing up, the irony of, people know me as Dr. Fit Jen. Well, I was anything but fit. My parents are not athletically inclined. Well, I think they might have been at some point. I think that's possible for anybody to be athletically inclined, but they are, overweight, had no schooling in health and nutrition, and that got passed down to me, meaning the no schooling part about health and nutrition. They both worked hard. They both worked late. So we would have Pop-Tarts, we'd have SpaghettiOs, we'd have cereal, we'd have a 1-pot meal at night. But it was whatever was convenient. Chips Ahoy, yes. So my background, I was not a fit person growing up. I was actually what you would call chonky, and even throughout elementary into middle school, my 4th grade teacher, thinking about people and events that had influence over my life, he was the first one that introduced me to exercise or running. He had a running club. And, I remember that I couldn't even run 1 lap of a mile. We started out just walking. And that, started my journey, but I was still chonky even through my elementary years. In middle school, I had the braces, I had glasses. So imagine a chonky me with braces and glasses and not great skin. Middle school was amazing. I tried out for athletics. Back then it was like you did like a little bit of everything. You did basketball, you did volleyball, you did track or cross country, et cetera, et cetera. And I really didn't know anything about any of those sports. I had never played them before, so I didn't know the rules or anything like that. But I'm like, man, I'm going to try out. I want to do it. It looks fun. And at the I don't remember if it was the middle of the year or the end of the year. I remember the coaches getting a group of us girls together after practice one day, and they encouraged us to not try out for the next year. So if you can imagine what kind of confidence that instills in a pre-teenage young girl who has braces and glasses and is already chonky, let me tell you, that was a great day. But you know what? I'm thankful for that. Honestly, I'm thankful for that because, at that point, I it instilled with me, like, hey, I'm not going to be a victim here. I'm not going to say, oh, I'm just no good. I'm going to be a victor. I'm going to go out and I'm going to change things. And from that day forward, I started making changes, not even really knowing what I was doing, except knowing that I wanted to do better. And so I, after school, during the summer mostly, because that happened, I think, at the end of school, I just started running. I started going down the block. This was like at a time where it was like still safe as a kid to go out in the neighborhood, and you didn't have to, watch for boogeymen necessarily. But I started running, and I would get a little bit further and a little bit further and a little bit further and then I'd get a little bit faster and a little bit faster and a little bit faster. And so I remember my 8th grade year, just because of, the running. I actually, just to let you know, I did come back and try out for the team the following year, and I did make it, and I did get to play often. That continued on in throughout middle school. And then my freshman year, I decided, hey, let's try tennis, of all things. It just looked fun. One thing about me is that I'm willing to, I just think there's so much to explore. I heard the term for it the other day. I was just telling my husband, I'm like, oh, there's other people like me that just like to do lots of things, like to try everything. And so, what is it called? It's a multi-potentiate, I think, was very, very interesting. I'm like, literally, they just made up that word. It doesn't even sound right. But I'd have to look up the definition. But it was like somebody who liked to do a lot of things and could do a lot of things. And I love doing it. So I learned how to play tennis my freshman year. I made the first seed varsity by my junior year. I went on to play in Division I college. And by the time I got through, midway through college, I discovered that I was actually a good runner. Of all things, the girl that had never run a mile ever before turned into be a really good runner. And so I started running. I started running a lot. I started running so much that I stopped tennis my junior year, and I started racing. And I would get up at 4:30 in the morning because I still had classes, I had things to go, and I wanted to go for these longer runs and whatnot, and it was peaceful and quiet on campus at 4:30 in the morning, and I would go do my run before I went to class. And I remember one day that I recognized him, so I wasn't scared, but the cross-country coach actually pulled over to the side, saw me running, pulled over to the side, and asked me to join the cross-country team. At that point, I was running, like a 5K in 18 and a half, 19 minutes or so, which is like just, like around a 6-minute mile, something like that. And my middle school me came out, and I didn't tell him this. I gave some other excuse, but I turned him down because inwardly I thought that I was not good enough to be on the cross-country team. So, it was a lie that stuck with me, even though I had all these accomplishments. I became a great runner that it was just an expectation. If I entered a race, I was going to win it. I have lots and lots of trophies and things that are tucked away in all corners and boxes and whatnot, because that was just the expectation. It's just what happened. And I'm not, again, there's nothing special about me. It was just you know what, I found something that I really loved as something that I could do, and something that I could, I just felt very free doing it. But all that to say that, even those things that happen when you're a small child can stick with you to adulthood. And often our perceptions, we have preconceived notions that are just flat out wrong. And so I hope that as we go through these next series and these podcasts, that you're going to maybe question some of the things that you have learned, or some of the things that you subconsciously or consciously think in your heart that may be wrong or contradictory to what God says about you and what is true. And so we're going to dive into that. We're going to dive into what it looks like to be able to do many, many things and do them well. When somebody asks me, in fact, I sheepishly, I don't like to tell people what I do for a living, or I'll pick one thing because, like I said before, I'm a chiropractor, which really isn't what I do. I sell life, essentially. But then I also, my husband and I own it's called Ohio Guide Outfitters. It's a hunting service here off of our ranch. I train horses. I have a functional wellness business. We also run a tree company. He mostly does that. I just encourage him. Sometimes I probably don't encourage him enough. But we just do all these things, and when I tell somebody, they're like, oh, you do this, but wait, you do this, and it's just like, I just never felt like I fit in. I just like to do any things, but out of necessity of being able to do those things, because I'm passionate about all of them, out of necessity, I have had to understand what it takes intentionally in my life to be able to organize those things, to be able to organize my life and organize my health. Because if I don't have the energy, I have to have energy from the moment I get up to the moment I hit my head on the pillow. And I want to live that abundant life because I want to pour my passion into everything that I'm doing, whether it's with my children, whether I'm with the horses, whether I'm serving our patients, whatever it is we do, I want to be able to be passionate and focused and do all of that and do it well. So out of necessity and also out of a series of events that happened when I was younger, nutrition and health are just a vital aspect of every life, including yours. And so you may say, yeah, well, I'm really good in the business aspect. I got that handled. Maybe you're a really professional business person, but, your energy's in the tank. You're struggling to just get up and get going in the morning, or you have the fitness part, but you don't have the finances, or you have the fitness and the finances, but your relationships or your marriage is in shambles. And so I want to talk about all of that, and what that looks like to balance out those things. I really hate that word balance, because everybody's like, I'm looking for balance. I'm like, just be intentional, look to be obedient, and we'll talk about what that means. So anyways, just a little bit about me. I don't want to spend much time talking about me at all, but just so you know where I'm coming from, it's all average, but even the average person can do extraordinary things, and I'm hoping and praying that it catches on, and to see you doing those extraordinary things in the near future.
Fuel, work, grow. That's your call to action. You can follow me on Instagram at drfitjen, that's dr.fitjen, all lowercase, as well as ruggedathlete.us.